Hello, I want to talk about Mercury retrograding because it's such a cliche statement. And I want to talk about that it's not just your technology because everyone thinks it's just about your cell phone. Okay. I think a lot of people are aware about driving, but I think that's all they know. So I want to go a little bit more detailed on what Mercury retrograde. And every time Mercury goes retrograde, people panic about their phones glitching or their emails disappearing. But here's the truth. Mercury retrograde is way bigger than technology problems. You are talking about it affects how we think. It affects how we communicate, even arguments. And again, travel, right? And even how we reconnect with our past because it is retrograding. Retrograding and it means repeating some steps. So today I'm going to break down Mercury retrograde and what it really means, not just a superficial or surface cliche level, and why it's not something to fear, but something to work with. If you want to know about Mercury retrograde and get more into the details of it, stay tuned. I love you. Okay, so let me just tell you the basics about Mercury. Mercury is the planet of communication and thought and travel and connect, right? It is the ruler of Gemini. It is the ruler of Virgo. If you know anything about Gemini and Virgo, I have two detailed videos of those two energies alone. But Gemini represents the youth. It represents schools. It represents your community. It represents your neighbors. Any beginning learning. Now, and communication. It's an air sign. All air signs represent communication. Virgo is analytical and processing. Okay. Virgo is in charge of the spreadsheets. Virgo is in charge of tailoring. It's in charge of details. Okay. It's very analytical and wants things to be perfect. So it's not just checks. It's not just tech. With Mercury, because it rules those two signs, it's about our speech. It's about contracts. It's about planning. It's about memory. It's about relationships. So before we dive into the retrograde, we need to talk about what Mercury really rules. So because we are talking about thinking and communication, that is how we talk. That is how we write. That is how we share ideas, even how we process our information in our own minds. But it doesn't stop there. Mercury rules short distance travels, everyday routines, agreements, any type of agreement you have. Basically, the planet keeps us on our day-to-day details, which is very Virgo, of life running smoothly. So when Mercury is moving normally, the conversations flow. You know how to create a plan. You know how to go step by step with the rules, and things move very smoothly and quickly. But when it's retrograding, all that starts to be a very bumpy ride. Now that you understand a little bit more of what it rules and that it's more along not just with your social media and not just your cell phone, not even in your Tesla or your electric car, which is now a new issue, and that's Mercury retrograding. Also too, we have Pluto in Aquarius, and Pluto in Aquarius, as I'm filming this, is really about technology and AI. And anytime Mercury is retrograding, those two planets are technology is really going to take a hit. All right. That is one element, but also technology communication, because it's going to take a hit because Aquarius is huge on communication. So when you talk about retrograde, the planet is not really moving backwards. It's moving slowly. And every time I talk about a planet retrograding, it's like you have your hands and you're used to your hands and you're used to using your right hand. All of a sudden, your right hand is taken away. That is a planet retrograding. When a right hand is taken away, you only have your left hand. And let's say you're right-handed. Now things become a little bit harder. The way you do your day-to-day routines, you have to actually think before you do it. That is Mercury retrograding. And that goes with communication across the board. That goes with planning any details. People forget that Mercury isn't the only planet that retrogrades as well. Every planet retrogrades. You're talking about Pluto, you're talking about Saturn, you're talking about Uranus, you're talking about Jupiter, and some of them retrograde at months at a time. The reason why Mercury is such a big deal when it retrogrades is because it's closest to us, closest planet to the Earth. So that's why it feels like it really affects us when Mercury retrogrades. Also, it retrogrades 3 to 4 times a year. It lasts about 3 weeks each time. Now, I want you to understand too, Mercury retrograding, and then sometimes it's retrograding in one sign. For example, it can retrograde in Cancer, and then it's retrograding in Cancer, and then it can enter Gemini. And when it enters another sign moving backwards, that's even a big deal because it hits the 0 degrees and then it hits the anaretic degree, which is 29 degrees. So anytime you hear an astrologer saying that Mercury is retrograding, and this is any planet, and it's retrograding between two signs, that is a bigger red flag. That red flag just a bigger, everyone pay attention, okay? It's not just retrograding, it's moving into two different energies, and this is going to affect multiple parts of our life. I just want you to understand that Venus retrogrades about once every 18 months, and it lasts about 40 to 45 days. Mars retrogrades over once every 2 years, and it lasts about 2.5 months. Jupiter and Saturn retrograde once a year, and they last about 4 to 5 months. Outer planets like Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, they retrograde every year about 5 to 6 months as well. When you have Mercury retrograding, besides the technology, if you have an electric car, before Mercury retrogrades in a pre-shadow phase, that's 2 weeks before it actually retrogrades, you need to charge your car. You need to be aware of your charger. You need to be fixing your charger. Just if that's even a possibility, any type of traveling, you need to pre-plan your traveling. Triple check everything. Pause before you speak. You need to clarify. Ask for open-ended questions to ensure you understand what others are saying. And you need to be very direct in your own communication and don't assume anything. Over-communicating is very important when Mercury is retrograding because you start discussing the details, because sometimes people overlook the details. When Mercury is retrograde, listen more, talk less. Avoid signing any new contracts while Mercury is retrograding. If you have to sign a contract, read it over several times, even have someone else read it, especially a Virgo or a Capricorn, because they will look at the details of it. Okay. Anytime a planet is retrograding, if it's retrograding in your sun sign, if it's retrograding in a stallion that you have, for example, if you're a Virgo and it's Virgo, it could be ruler. If you're a Leo and Mercury is retrograding in the sign Leo, you may get a lot of calls, or you may be wanting to call an old friend. So be aware of that. Go analog when possible. Have face-to-face conversations instead of phone calls. Skip the new school and go old school. Okay. Assume misunderstandings rather than getting angry when Mercury is retrograde. When something goes wrong, assume it's a simple miscommunication, hence why you need to talk in person. Also, you want to be very flexible in any form of communication. Now, thinking and mindset tips. I want you to embrace any RE words. You're talking about repeating, redoing, reflecting, reorganize. Focus on that while Mercury is retrograding. This is not the time to do. This is a time for reflection. It's not a time for new beginnings, okay? Instead of focus on the RE words, okay? Remembering. Review any old projects. This is a great time for journaling your thoughts. Disconnect and reflect when the technology is glitching, because it can happen a lot for the collective. See another way of doing things, like go on a nature walk, meditate, listen to music, okay? Reevaluate your goals. Practice mindfulness. Be present in a moment. This can help you stay centered, avoid impulsive actions or words. Don't rush into anything major far as decisions. Expect the unexpected. Organize your digital life. This is a time to cleanse your cell phone memory, your computer memory. All of that works really good while Mercury is retrograding. Revisit your inner world, okay? This is a time to look inward anytime planets are retrograding, making it a powerful time to listen to your intuition. Pay attention to your dreams and your gut feeling. They may contain valuable messages, okay? I hope this helped you understand Mercury retrograde. In my paywall, that means you have to pay. It costs $4.99. I have a lot of special videos and extra tips and a lot of posts involving a lot of things regarding astrology. One thing I have is a Mercury retrograding survival kit. You can understand Mercury retrograding a lot more, even the other planets and what happens when they retrograde. All right. If you guys enjoyed this, please click the link in the bio. Now we have something new where you can hype this video up. So if you think this was amazing, hype me up. Hype me up. Hype me up. All right. And yeah, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you for watching. Bye.
Bye-bye.